Financially speaking, this might be the most foolish thing I've ever done to my car. Welcome back and thanks for being here. My name is Scott, and I would drone on about some mystery behind what I've done, but you read the title of the video. You know what I'm going to talk about. I did a turbo swap to my GTI. I have been very happy with my APR Stage 2, but I've always wondered two things. One, what is the lifespan of the factory turbo? Mine has almost 130,000 miles on it, so am I close to wearing it out? I don't want to say wearing it out, but how's that shaft holding up? How are the bearings? Just never know. I mean, back in the old days with different turbos, you'd hear plenty of stories of them failing at 80,000 miles or even less, and I'm far beyond that, so I wasn't quite sure where I would stand. The other thing I've always wondered about is the very popular IS38 upgrade, giving me just a little bit of a loss of low-end torque, which I don't think I would like that very much, but then delivering big time on top-end horsepower. Well, it was time for an oil change, and oops, I slipped and bought a turbo. So I went ahead and had the turbo installed, and I'm about ready to deliver some impressions. I've done some local driving with it, surface streets, and as expected, I have lost a little bit of low-end punch. And when I say that, I'm referring to normal driving, not punching it in second gear and roasting the tires. I'm just talking about normal driving. If you recall, when I shared my Should You Update video, I'll share that up here. It was when I went to what's known as the final revision for my Stage 2 software, and a lot of people were displeased with that because it lost a little bit of low-end torque. Go check that out. You'll see my reaction to that. This is so far kind of similar. With that revision, I remember finding myself slowing down a lot, not because, oh gosh, I'm going too fast, but it was a matter of me being used to holding my foot at a certain position to go a certain speed or maintain a speed, and then I had to give it a little bit more. And I'm not feeling that with this upgrade, but what I am noticing is that to accelerate, I have to give it a little bit more because I don't have that low-end grunt that would push the car a little more. In the TDI circles, we used to say people buy horsepower but drive torque, and I still think that's true. So I have a little less torque. Say right now I'm cruising at 2400 RPM, and if I give it a little gas, what I used to be able to give wasn't going to give me the same thrust as it did before. So now I got to give it just a little bit more gas pedal to get going quite the same, but it'll still go. So now I'm on a freeway entrance ramp, and it's all clear ahead of me. So let's see what this thing does. Instant wheel spin. That's 80 miles an hour on a freeway ramp. It's definitely faster on the top end, but it's, again, around town, I lost a little. So if I was a road racer or lived out in the desert where the speed limit is 80 miles an hour, this would be wonderful. The majority of my driving, however, is in an area where the speed limit is 60 or 65, and I very rarely get to uncork that kind of power. So for me personally, I'm not sure if I would do the purchase again. I'm not going to say don't do it, because it is fun. But every single day, the way I drive, Well, I told my installer, I drive like an old man. So most of the time, I'll get used to this, and in time I won't miss the low end torque anymore. But for now, I can tell that I'm missing a little bit. But when I decide to get on it, like right now I'm cruising 5th gear, 68 miles an hour, 2600 RPM. If I give it a little, it pulls out, and so it's not as effortlessly. I have to give it a little bit more ankle to get the car going a little bit, but it still pulls out, but it's not as punchy as it was before. So if you think you'll miss punchy, then think twice. And the reason I opened with it being financially foolish, this upgrade, if you do the maintenance yourself, and depending on who your tuner is, you might be able to get it done for a little under $2,000. That's a lot of money for what amounts to be about 50 horsepower in gain. If you've got the money, definitely, sure, go ahead and throw the money at it. I did not do my own labor, so I paid somebody to do the labor, and I'm not going to give you the labor quote because it's going to vary from place to place, but you can only imagine how much that costs, and so that makes the upgrade even more expensive. If I was, say, cash strapped, I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to do it. So if you can do this upgrade without putting yourself into debt or using a credit card or whatever, if you can afford it, in other words, by all means, do it. Unless you're a city-only driver. If you're a city-only driver and you're not ever going to get to uncork this power, then don't do it. You won't really get to feel the true benefit of having this upgrade. But if you get on the freeway, and especially you live out in the wide open spaces where you can do 80, 85 and not get yourself in trouble, yeah, I think it's phenomenal. Financially foolish? Yes, quite possibly. I made a joke about sending bail money when I first upgraded the Stage 2. It's even more so now. I asked my installer, given the age of my car, 128,000 miles, other than the money, can you think of any drawbacks to installing this turbo on such a geriatric car? The only thing he could come up with was speeding tickets. So if I can avoid getting speeding tickets, then all right, it's a fun upgrade. I will share a couple of blasts with you here in just a minute as I get on another freeway ramp. For the purpose of this test, I will, for this initial blast and maybe a couple of others, leave traction control enabled. I want to be able to give you a visual indication of when the wheels are spinning, just in case it's not readily obvious from the sound. These tires don't make a lot of noise when they spin, but you would hear the engine rev taking off. I have been missing 2nd to 3rd gear shifts because of a shoulder injury, so let's see what happens here. Make it over this bump. Here we go. Oh, straight to 5th. I missed that one up. Alright, that was a very quick blast to 80, even after screwing that up big time. I'll try another one here in a second. Alright, here we go. Going around a turn and then stepping on it. .3,000 RPM. That's 80. Just that quick. This time I have traction control turned off, so we will hopefully be able to hear the engine rev, check out wheel spin. Let me get over this bump, and then this is an uphill entrance ramp. Oh, there goes that 2-3 miss. Definitely could feel some torque steer. I'm not used to feeling torque steer in this car. This time I'm going to see if I can get out of second gear just a little faster, because it's just completely useless up in the upper revs. One more, we'll see if we can get this one right. I do not do a lot of speed shifting in this car, and as I mentioned earlier, with the shoulder injury, the 2-3 throw is what hurts most, and so I tend to miss. I'll either not throw it far enough, or I'll go all the way over to 5th gear. Now I got a vehicle in front of me. Let me give him a second to get out of my way, because I'll be blasting right up his butt in no time. All right, here we go. That was interesting testing. When I first started the video and telling you about the upgrade, I hadn't really uncorked the power of this thing, and I certainly hadn't tested it with traction control turned off. With traction control turned off, totally different animal. Second gear is just about useless. Third gear, definitely useful, but in order to unleash all that power, I mean, well, you saw I got up to some pretty breakneck speeds on that last third gear sprint. So do you live someplace where you can do that all the time? I know I don't. I was pressing my luck. So I'm glad I got the turbo. It's fun. I just don't know how often I'm going to use that fun. My tires, currently I still have my Michelin Pilot All Season 3 Plus. So there is more traction to be had. I know those of you who run dedicated summer tires, say like the Michelin Pilot, I think it's called the 4S. It's a summer tire. That's got even more grip, and I'm sure there are other tires that are more grippy than even that tire. So I know I can get more traction. I just have a balance right now between traction and affordability all season. We'll see how this goes. Let me know if there's a question that you have about this. This isn't necessarily an exhaustive test. It is just my thoughts on everything. Super glad I got the turbo upgrade, but it really is, in my application, since I don't road race and I don't live in the wide open spaces, it is a novelty for me, being a city dweller, a city driver, congested freeways where I am. This is a novelty. It is just for some giggles, but I may move out to someplace with some highway speeds. We'll see. I have APR's 91 AKI file loaded, and I chose to do that because during my 2 trips out to the West Coast, there is no 93 octane available west of, say, Central Texas. So I figured that by sticking with 91 octane, I'm making the car more of a nationwide traveler. I don't have to worry about changing files anymore. And I chose APR because, sure, some would argue that it's an off-the-shelf tune, but it's also conservative and very reliable, and I'm just not going to really tinker. I'll talk more about that in another video. This 91 octane file, APR's testing says that it put down 356 horsepower at the wheel and 357 pound-feet, again, at the wheel. Their crank values, though, are a little different. It's generally accepted that there is a 10% loss between the crank and the ground, drivetrain losses. So when you add that 10% back in, that takes you to 395 horsepower at the crank. But the torque value doesn't compute that way. I mean, if I compute it, then it is, I take their 357 wheel torque, and that computes to 396 pound-feet at the crank. But they're only advertising 376 pound-feet at the crank. And so I'm not quite sure why they use 10% on the horsepower and only 5% on the torque. If you understand why they do that and you're willing to comment, stick a comment below and explain that to me. What am I missing? I will concede that I might not be making 356 horsepower at the wheel because I'm not using the same air filter that APR was probably using during their testing. My intake is still stock, well, not all of it. I'll share more about that later. APR was probably using their own intake, and if you follow mymark7golf.com's airflow testing, then you'll see that APR's intake doesn't flow that much better than stock anyway. Especially, I mean, my intake is modified a little, and so it probably flows about the same anyway. But I'll still concede that I might not be making 356 wheel horsepower. I will follow up with a video. I guess my next video will talk about my mods to the car, the performance mods, and so I'll go down the list of everything that I've done, because I also changed the spark plugs for this IS38 upgrade, and I'll talk about that in my next video. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer. I always do. I answer every question here on the channel, and if the question's good enough, I'll save it for an FAQ video. As always, I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next time. Take care.